Now, let's talk about this story. A couple accused of defrauding Eskom of millions of rand have been granted bail. Mohammed Mueddin and his wife Raisa are charged with money laundering, corruption and fraud. The charges relate to over 600 million rand in Eskom contracts. Authorities say the case is part of efforts to unmask people who were responsible for capturing Eskom. Let's get more details now, what actually happened in court, what this case really involves, with my colleague, that's reporter Govan Whittles. He's back with us and he's here in the studio. Good afternoon, Govan. So just take us through the main highlights, what came out in court in this case. What is this case really about?
Well, Braden, Mohammed Mueddin is accused of inflating the costs of 3 contracts that had to do with repairs at Kusile Power Station and Matla Power Station for repairs in a subcontract to higher than what the company that received the contract, ABB, had initially thought it would be. And essentially, they're accused of doing this so that he could receive a 38 million rand bribe. He's appeared in court on charges of money laundering, fraud, and corruption related to the inflation in costs of that subcontract, but also for accepting 38 million rand in cash payments, but also accepting a Mercedes-Benz and a Golf GTI. That's why his wife is in the dock with him, because she's alleged to have registered those 2 cars that are beneficiaries of corruption in her maiden name before changing her name after she got married to Mr. Mueddin. So they appeared in court today. It was their first appearance, and the investigative directorate, which has been working on this case, say it represents another breakthrough for them in trying to get to who's really behind the more serious corruption at Eskom and who instigated talks that eventually led to such contracts being awarded and then later inflated before subcontracts were awarded. Let's listen to what the spokesperson of the investigative directorate had to say.
For starters, this is a Schedule 5 offence in terms of one of the accused in the dock today. 4 people actually were arrested today. 2 were arrested in KZN and the other 2 arrested in Middleburg in Mpumalanga and then brought here in Randburg to appear. Both of these 2 groups of people will be made into one group and they'll appear together. However, because of the distance of the others that we've arrested, hence both of these parties appeared separately. But what we must also state is that this for us is a big matter. For starters, today we also embarked on a search and seizure because there's other outstanding information which we wanted to go through to assess, to find out what we believe was the altering of some of the documentation that was provided to SARS. This is an initiative between ourselves, the Hawks, as well as SARS in terms of the search and seizure. But coming back to your initial question about how this is a high-profile matter, it's because of the schedule. It's also because of the fact that we're talking about 672 million rand that was benefited by ABB through what we believe were the assistance of these particular persons, especially in terms of impulse and the work that it had to provide to ABB. Additionally, that we believe was shown through the gratification that they received through the cars and through the cash that they obtained. But this forms part of the greater scheme of the targeting of state-owned entities and the illegalities that took place there through contractors and or subcontractors. So this is for us is one of the big matters in which we've enrolled. You know that this is the second after the 750 million Kusile matter. So these are related.
I understand, Govan, that Angelo Agrizzi was also in court today.
He was indeed. The investigative directorate wants independent confirmation from the courts that Angelo Agrizzi's condition doesn't enable him to stand trial at this stage. They've appointed their own independent pulmonologist and then also have launched an application for a medical inquiry, which has now been postponed to October. Let's listen to the investigative directorate spokesperson once again regarding the application for this medical inquiry.
So today, the matter actually was heard in the Palm Ridge Specialized Crimes Court. It has been postponed to October, where it's actually postponed to obtain a High Court date to take it to the High Court, and the medical inquiry will be heard there. You will know that just last month and the month before, in May, we also appointed a pulmonologist, an independent pulmonologist, to assess Mr. Angelo Agrizzi. So both assessments of his doctors, specialists, as well as the state-appointed one will be assessed, and a determination will be made whether or not he's fit or not to stand trial.
Thank you very much, Govan Whittles, for an update of what happened in that case involving Eskom monies in court earlier today.